So the men formerly known as the Central Park Five are suing former President Trump. The men were wrongfully convicted of a brutal attack and exonerated years later. They filed a lawsuit over remarks that Trump made about them at last month's presidential debate. Right now, Queen City News Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rose joining us to dive deeper into this case. So first, let's talk about the remarks that were made.
During the presidential debate in my home state of Pennsylvania, President Trump said that that these folks pled guilty, that they admitted that they were guilty, and that the woman, the victim, was killed. All of those things were false. And so this is how we're here now. If you make a fraudulent statement, a false statement that you know to be false at the time, and because these folks would be considered public figures, there's a higher standard. There has to be actual malice. And I think because their case has got national attention, this happened in the 80s. You're talking about 1989, but their cases, movies made about it, documentaries made about it, tons of case studies done on this within law school. So this is not a story that's something that's hidden. These folks will qualify as public figures. Because of that, the standard is even higher. But I think their case has legs to continue to go forward.
And really, there's a lot of emotion that's involved, too, because of the history of the case. I want to talk about what's inside of the lawsuit.
I mean, inside a lawsuit is they're alleging these statements. I mean, he's made statements like this before. When he was first elected, he was asked a number of times, do you want to apologize to the victims? You know, the exonerated five, what they're called now. And he said no. I mean, there were, not to quote him as saying they were good people on both sides, but he said there were facts that people on both sides disagreed with, citing the prosecutor specifically, not understanding why the city agreed to a $41 million lawsuit settlement, not understanding why that they overturned their conviction. So he cited a number of things, but in their lawsuit, they're saying his false statement, specifically one of the exonerated five, was in the room during the debate when he made the statement. And so those allegations are there, and all they have to do is prove that he knew or should have known that the statements were false. Well, we know that President Trump, unlike most people in America, was intimately involved with this because he was in New York City at the time, an up-and-coming developer, and took out a full-page ad in all of the major newspapers at the time, asking for the death penalty to be reinstated, specifically in response to this case. And so he had accurate knowledge of what happened throughout the process. And even if you point to saying, I didn't know when I was first elected, his comments came a couple weeks ago. And so during the process, if you didn't know in '89, if you didn't understand that it was false when you were first elected 8 years ago, at some point you would have now known that that statement that you have made was false. And so that is what they're alleging.
Which is so important to be able to talk about the timing of all this, Khalif. I mean, you know, you're 2 weeks out from the general election. This is something that, you know, Donald Trump knows what he said. You know, the facts are, you just laid out right there. It's like then the timing of the lawsuit, one, to be able to talk about that too, but why then even talk about it at the debate to be able to bring all this back up? You know, it's just the timing with all of this.
100%. His statements at the debate were to a crime and to a fear and to a hate, a type of approach. And so when you're attempting to make sure you bring up those things to stoke the fires of crime being up and how these types of things need to be wrestled back in, that is something that his campaign has talked about throughout the entire process, ensuring that they support law enforcement and citing as an example these types of cases. But in terms of their timing, why bring a lawsuit at this time? I mean, I think that's a great question. This is something that could have been brought when he first got reelected, but his statements were fresh. This is a newer statement that was made, and he understands defamation. The E. Jean Carroll case, just where he lost the multi-million-dollar case earlier this year. And so this is something that he's familiar with. This case obviously won't happen before the end of the election, but we shall see something soon. His lawyers say they want to go to trial. Don't want to settle.
I can ask you so many more questions, but I am being wrapped, so we're going to continue this conversation later. But Khalif, thank you so much for your insight with this.